it is not allowed. It is not permissible to slaughter a wild cow for qurbani, specifically for qurbani. Because for other than qurbani, it will be allowed. For other than qurbani, it will be allowed. But for qurbani, it is only those domesticated animals, domesticated cattle, that which is considered as cattle, but not wild animals. Wild animals are not allowed. And this is in Fatawa Mahmudiyya and many of the other books. Another question was to do with the deceased. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he gave one qurbani on behalf of the entire ummah. He gave one qurbani on behalf of the entire ummah. This shows it's for the people who are alive as well as those who have passed away as Muslims. Okay, those believers that are alive and those believers that have already passed away. So giving reward is not a problem for the deceased, for those who have passed away, for your nana, for your dada, for your mama, for your khala, for your hufu, not a problem. Okay, this is completely allowed, and this is mentioned in all the Hanafi books, major books of Hanafi fiqh. Then we mentioned about the dua at the time of slaughtering. So when you lay the animal down, you recite Inni wajjahtu wajhiya lilladhi fatara as-samawati wal arda hanifa wa ma ana minal mushrikeen, and then Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. Those two du'as when you lay the animal down. After that, just before slaughtering, you say Allahumma minka wa laka. Oh Allah, it is from you and it is for you. And then the third one we said at the time of slaughtering. At the time of slaughtering, it is Bismillahi Allahu Akbar. Okay, that's it. Or you could just say Bismillah. You could say only Allahu Akbar. We already spoke about this. It is allowed and it is sufficient. But the best is to say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, as we will see in the hadith coming. Then the dua after it being slaughtered, Allahumma taqabbalhu minni kama taqabbalta min habibika Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa khalilika Ibrahim alayhim as-salatu was-salam. This is the dua after an animal is slaughtered. After an animal is slaughtered. Again, these du'as that are mentioned are mustahab. Mustahab. Mustahab means something recommended, something preferable. Okay, it is not wajib, it is not obligatory, it is not compulsory. The person leaves them out, it is fine. As long as they said Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, it's fine. Okay? The other du'as are mustahab. It is preferred that the person who is doing the slaughter says these du'as. Okay. Then we go on to the mas'ala of tail of the animal. Tail of the animal, here, according to the vast majority of the ulama, the tail of the animal, there has to be more than 1/3. Some ulama said a half. If a half is there, then it is allowed for that animal to be slaughtered. But the majority of the ulama, they said, even the majority of the Hanafi ulama we are talking about, they said there must be at least 1/3, minimum 1/3. If there's less than 1/3 of the tail left, then it is not allowed. Then it is not allowed. That animal is not allowed to be slaughtered. Unless the only exception is given in certain circumstances where you live in a community, like in certain parts of Africa and Australia, they believe that the tail has to be cut off, otherwise there's going to be diseases spreading. So in those lands, in those areas, certain areas that people live in, if there's Muslims there, then those animals would be jaiz and would be permissible to slaughter. But that's the exception. That's not the rule. Okay, that's not the rule. Understand that it's not the rule. Only an exception to the rule, because in that area, that sort of animal with tails cannot be found. Cannot be found. It's cut, yes. We're coming to that, inshallah. We're coming to that. Okay. I'm trying to move on as fast as I can, inshallah, because I'm halfway through the book, but Qurbani is next week. You know? Animals with cut tails, we've done this. So, Qurbani of animals whose tails are cut off more than 1/3 is not valid. More than 1/3 is not valid. Just remember that rule, inshallah. That's the rule. Some animals you'll see in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, you'll see these animals, they have huge fat tails. If those tails are broken or taken off before slaughter, it's fine. You know, those animals' tails are considered as fat rather than tail. Okay, so even if they are completely taken off or broken off, then it's fine. The qurbani of that animal is completely jaiz and permitted. An animal, when it is bought for qurbani, it is not allowed to milk it. It is not allowed to milk that animal. If you do milk it, then you have to give that milk in sadaqah to the poor, or give the value of that milk to the poor. Okay, if that is done. Next, we go into the topic of qurbani on behalf of another. We spoke about this briefly. Here, I'll give you a couple more things, inshallah. It is necessary to take permission for a wajib qurbani. Any wajib qurbani is basically more or less all of us. Yeah? Everyone that is a sahib nisab and has to give qurbani, it is wajib upon us to give qurbani. That person that is not sahib nisab, it is not wajib upon him. Okay, if he wants to give, he will be rewarded. And if he doesn't give, then it is no sin upon him. But for us, for those who are sahib nisab, they have the minimum £500 inside their savings, we have to give. Okay, it's not a choice. Not a choice according to all the Hanafi ulama. So, it is necessary. So, for example, you want to give it on behalf of your wife, you want to give it on behalf of your 17, 18-year-old son or daughter, okay, who's living inside your house. Now, you have to take their permission. You have to take their permission in order for you to give their qurbani, because it is a wajib qurbani. It's like, for example, salah. If you want to perform his salah, is it going to be valid? It's not going to be valid. It is something compulsory. So therefore, you have to take permission from your wife, from your son, who's 18 years old or 15 years old, that's baligh, as well as your daughter, okay, who's over the age of puberty. You have to take permission from each and every single one, and you have to tell them, look, I'm giving your qurbani. It's completely allowed to give their qurbani. As a father, it's completely allowed. There's nothing wrong with that. You'll be rewarded more. Okay, you'll be rewarded more, inshallah. Before the age of puberty, this is considered as maturity. So, sorry? Yes, you can give for reward. There's no issue with that. So, for example, you've got 5 children and you want to give it on behalf of them, it will be nafal qurbani. Completely jaiz. Completely jaiz, you'll be rewarded. You'll be rewarded greatly. For every single hair strand of that animal, you will be rewarded. Then, so you have to take permission from that person. You have to take permission from as long as the person gives permission and he says, yeah, that's fine, give it on behalf of me, then it will be jaiz. It will be completely jaiz. Like, for example, my cousin, brother, he came and he gave on behalf of his son. I don't know whether he told his son or not, because Bengalis are Bengalis, So I specifically phoned my nephew and I said, look, your dad came and gave your qurbani. Is it okay? Then, yeah, that's fine. Okay? Because it's wajib. If it's a nafal qurbani, you don't need to take permission. It's a nafal qurbani, like, for example, you do it on behalf of your dada who passed away. That's fine. There's no permission taken, whether he's passed away or whether he's alive. You want to give it on behalf of him, even if he's alive, even if your dad is alive, and you want to give a nafal qurbani on behalf of him. He's giving a wajib qurbani in Bangladesh or in Pakistan, and you are giving another one on behalf of him here. It's completely fine. And we said also, to give it on behalf of the whole ummah is allowed, like Rasulullah done. To give it on behalf of the whole ummah is completely permissible. Some people, they give it specifically for Rasulullah. This is also fine. This is also completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes. So he already told you. Then he's already told you. And you've already given the permission, more or less. As long as you didn't say no, that's fine. You've given the permission. Yeah, that's completely fine. Okay? But everyone should try to give their own qurbani. Yes, father can do it, alhamdulillah, it's good. It's a good thing that the father will get more reward. But each and every person must get used to it. Okay, just like salah, your father's doing his salah. That doesn't mean your salah is maaf. Your salah is not maaf. You have to do your own salah. So that's why you have to learn. That's why Rasulullah said, order them to pray at the age of 7. It doesn't mean for salah is fard at the age of 7. No, salah is not fard upon a child who is 7 years old, but practicing and to train them into that habit because it's fard. So likewise, same thing. Even if the father has the money, should make his child get him in that habit of giving that qurbani every year from his own finances. Yes. Okay. I think I spoke about this already, for the living and the dead. Yes. Next, we go on to slaughtering with one's hand, one's own hand. Yes, this is another sunnah of Rasulullah. Rasulullah himself slaughtered. Yes, he told Ali radiallahu anhu to slaughter the rest, but he himself showed as a role model to slaughter himself. So this is a great sunnah. If a person can and is not fearful of blood and everything else, he doesn't have a phobia towards such things, then a person should try his utmost to go and slaughter himself. If he can't slaughter, then at least the ulama say he should at least stand and see his animal being slaughtered. And even if you are fearful of that, then then inshallah you be like us, unfortunately. Yeah? You be like people in London. So here in this case, if a person is standing in front of the animal, then he should remind. This is called talqeen. This is not wajib. This is not wajib. He must make talqeen. Talqeen meaning, just like when a person is dying, we say that the people that are next to that person, they should say the kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So in order for the person, but to say it softly, not to say it loudly. Say it softly in order to remind the dying person to recite the kalima and for that to be his last words before he departs from this world. Likewise, it is okay for a person who is standing, that he's seeing his qurbani being slaughtered, he should say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar as a reminder for the person slaughtering. And we spoke about this last week, that the only person that says Bismillahi Allahu Akbar that is wajib upon is only the person that is slaughtering, not the people that are holding onto the head, onto the back of the animal, onto the legs of the animal. Their Bismillahi Allahu Akbar is not valid. It's not necessary. Okay. Likewise, another mas'ala is going to come here. A polytheist, meaning an atheist, an agnostic, a person who is a kafir, a person who is a non-Muslim, his Bismillahi Allahu Akbar must not be done at the time of slaughter because he should not partake in the slaughter. If he partakes in the slaughter, then your slaughter, qurbani, becomes haram. Your whole animal becomes haram. Okay? He can hold the back of the animal or the front of the animal, that's fine. Legs of the animal, that's fine. He can do that. No issue in that. But the only people that can slaughter, or the only peoples that can slaughter, and sometimes there's two people that are slaughtering one animal, is they must be Muslim. They must be Muslim, or whoever he's slaughtering, he must be Muslim. Okay, there's two types of dabah ikhtiyari and dabah idtirari. This is slightly, now we're going into terminologies now. Dabah ikhtiyari is basically normal slaughter of an animal with a sharp knife or any sharp item, or a piercing of a camel. That's also the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's also the case. It's a normal circumstance of a normal cow or a camel or a sheep or a goat. Whereas dhabah idtirari is basically you're in a situation where the animal, for example, is stuck inside a well or something. It fell inside, and there's no way of getting it out alive. It's gonna die, or it's stuck inside the water somewhere in the mud. If you were to get it out, it's gonna die. So, in order for you to make the meat halal, you slaughter it. Okay. So in that way, the meat becomes halal, and you can take out the animal later on, even if it dies after the slaughter. After it's slaughtered, it's completely fine. You can still consume the meat, isn't it? Meat becomes halal. So this is in case of where necessity. Okay, so you can, for example, could we give an example? We'll go into hunting, inshallah. We'll do another lesson on hunting. Okay, taking a wage for slaughtering. Is it permissible to take a separate wage for slaughtering animals? Yes, it is completely, guys, completely permissible for you to take a wage for slaughtering animals. Instruments of slaughter, yes. Here, the only two things which are not allowed is teeth and nails. To slaughter with teeth and nails, some African tribes, they have this custom, unfortunately. It is not allowed. Rasulullah specifically prohibited this, okay? To slaughter with teeth and nail that is connected to a body, okay? Not unconnected, connected to a body. This will invalidate the qurbani of an animal or even the halalness of an animal, okay? It won't be halal anymore. But if it is separated, it will be makruh, because it's still considered as nail and it's still considered as what you call teeth, from bones, a part of the bones. Khair, inshallah, we'll go on to the next one. Slaughter with bones is not permissible, we know that, okay? Anything sharp, gold, silver, copper, iron, stone, bamboo, stick, anything extremely sharp, you can slaughter the animal with. Okay, it's completely jais. There's no karaha, there's no makruhness in it. The masnoon way of slaughter. Okay, this hadith comes in Bukhari and Muslim on the authority of Anas radiallahu anhu. He says Rasulullah slaughtered a 2-horned ram. What's a 2-horned ram? Ram means a male sheep. Male, 2-horned male sheep. That was black and white in color. Whoever can find one of those, inshallah. This is also another great sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to imitate that what he does, that which he done. Actually, we had a qurbani order, specifically male goat. Surprised. Why a male goat? No? Where did you get this one from? Allahu alam, you know. Anyway, people have specific likes and dislikes. Allahu alam. He slaughtered the animal himself. Okay, this hadith mentions in Bukhari and Muslim. He recited Bismillahi Allahu Akbar at the time of slaughtering, and I saw that he placed his foot on the animal's side whilst he was saying Bismillahi Allahu Akbar. So it is allowed to put your feet on the animal's side, the shoulder, okay, on the back. Completely fine. As long as the animal is not hurt in any other way. The place of slaughtering is between here, the jawbone here, until this bone, hard bone. Anything in between that is the part of slaughtering. Okay? Between here, the hard bone of the animal, until this bone, this hard bone on the chest. So this whole part is considered in Jami' al-Saghir, one of the most reliable books. This whole part is considered the place of slaughter. Anyone can slaughter here, here, here. Okay? As long as it's done in between here, the animal will become completely halal. How many things that needs to be cut? 4 things. Okay, the windpipe, the food pipe, and the 2 jugular veins. Jugular veins are these 2. Okay, the windpipe, the food pipe, and the 2 jugular veins. Any 3 of the 4 that's done, alhamdulillah, your slaughter is completely fine. Normally they cut all 4. Normally they cut all 4. This is the normal way. At the time of slaughter, you mustn't chop the whole head off completely. This is makruh. This is makruh. Any animal, small or large, okay, goat or camel or cow, buffalo, whichever. Big animal or small animal, the whole head must not be cut off at the time of slaughter. Only these 4 things should be cut off: the windpipe, the food pipe, and the 2 jugular veins. 3 out of the 4, if they are cut, then your animal is completely halal, your qurbani is done. Okay? And if 4 out of the 4, if 2 is only cut, then your animal is not allowed to eat. It becomes haram, it becomes carrion. It is very dangerous, and only the people that know how to slaughter must slaughter. Okay? The whole head must not be cut off. Why? Because when the whole head is cut off, the bone, the backbone, is connected right to the head. Okay? This backbone, immediately when you chop off the bone, all the whole animal goes into like a shock. It doesn't release the blood, the bad blood that's inside the animal with toxins. And this is the blood that we need for the blood to come out of the meat. I told you this last lesson that the blood that is inside after the gushing forth of the blood that comes out at first, The blood that is inside with the meat, that blood is not a problem. That blood is not toxic. That blood is completely allowed. Okay, there's no issue with that. The blood that comes out gushing forth at the time of slaughter, that is the toxic blood. That is the toxic blood. And at that time, the animal, the moment the two jugular veins are cut off, it doesn't feel pain. It looks like it feels pain because it starts shaking, because the soul is coming out. But it's not feeling any pain. The moment you cut the two jugular veins, automatically, it's not feeling any pain anymore. Okay? Then we go on to, oh yes, is it necessary to mention all the shareholders' names at the time of slaughter? No, it is not. It is not necessary at all. Why? Because at the time of slaughter, you are slaughtering for Allah. As long as the person slaughtering knows that there are 7 shares and there are 7 other people that are slaughtering and have participated in this animal, it's completely fine. He doesn't need to know the specific names. He doesn't need to know the specific names, or he doesn't need to call out the specific names. And then he said, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. It's not necessary. It's not necessary at all. If the shareholders want to, then they can. There's no issue with it. If the shareholders go in the farm, and then they want to make like a video, I don't know, even that will become like show or something, this. But intention is there, inshallah. Okay, as long as the slaughterer knows that there are this many shares and they're doing it for qurbani or they're doing it for aqiqah, it's completely fine. And we said a person can take a share. So if he's doing an aqiqah on behalf of his son or daughter, or on behalf of himself even, sometimes he himself, his aqiqah wasn't done. Okay, so he can give his aqiqah as well as his qurbani as 2 different shares. 2 different shares, not one of the same share. Okay, you can't give it as one of the same share because these are 2 different things, completely different things. One is wajib and the other one is sunnah. Aqiqah is sunnah and qurbani is wajib. 2 different shares he can give, or 2 different animals he can give, one for aqiqah, one for qurbani. It's completely valid. Then, okay, the objective of slaughtering is to worship. It's worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the duty, the responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to every single individual that is sane, that is Muslim, that is an adult. Okay, this is our responsibility, and it is to gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says inside the Quran, لَا يَنَالَ اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. This is a test of your taqwa. This is a test of your taqwa. So even if you're a vegetarian Muslim, this is a very big test of your taqwa. This is going to be one of the biggest tests in your life. Why? Because you have other things inside your mind, and here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you to order to slaughter a sacrifice. Say inshallah. To intend to just feed people is not enough. Intend to just show people is not enough that you're doing it for the sake of just slaughtering an animal. No, this is not enough. This intention is not enough. The person has to have the intention of qurbani in order for his wajib to be fulfilled, in order for his wajib to be valid. We're coming to that, inshallah. We said part of it last lesson. So meat distribution is completely, we said in the beginning of the session that it is allowed to give the meat to even non-Muslims. It's fine, completely fine. But the one third that is normally told by ulama is completely fine. You can give 1/3 to your friends and family, 1/3 to what you call the poor, and 1/3 you eat yourself. This is one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made allowed for this ummah only, not for the previous ummahs that existed from Adam alayhi salam until Isa alayhi salam. Only in this ummah has this been allowed. Then the slaughterer must be a Muslim. We spoke about this. He cannot be a polytheist. We spoke about this. I'm not going to repeat this. Let's go on to the next one. The direction at the time of slaughter. Just like a person who is laid down for after he's passed away inside his grave, so his face is towards the Qibla. His face is towards the Qibla. So likewise, the animal, you should try your best, whoever's doing the slaughter in whichever abattoir, they should try their best to slaughter the face of the animal should be facing the Qibla. His right side should be facing the Qibla. This is sunnah, and to leave it out intentionally is makruh. To leave this out intentionally is makruh, according to the scholars. And here he mentions Fatawa Hindiya, Bahrul Ra'iq, Bada'i' al-Sana'i', Mabsut. These are huge books in the Hanafi madhab. Huge books. Literally only, even if muftis even go and touch them. Is huge books. Imamat of the one slaughtering. Yes. If an imam is the person who slaughters the animals, why? Why is this mas'ala mentioned? This mas'ala is mentioned because when slaughtering, some of the blood sometimes gets onto your body and your clothes and stuff like that. Now you have to be extra particular when it comes to imamat, because imamat, all the people that are praying behind you, their salahs are either valid or invalid because of you. So if your cleanliness and your purification is not completely correct, then everyone's salah behind you the imam's going to be sinful, and all their salah will be invalid. Okay, so this is why this masala is mentioned here. The imam is a slaughterer. He slaughters. This is his daily habit. This is what he does for a living on the side. This is his income. Then it is still completely jaiz. There is no dislikeness in that for him to have that as a profession, because back in the days, ulama had different professions. They weren't just imams. Some of them were, but there was a lot of ulama inside our, like Ayyub as-Sakhtiyani, major hadith scholars, major scholars. They were doing different jobs. They were doing different occupations. This doesn't take them lower than the status that they are. This doesn't make them inferior in any way, because end of the day, this is rizq. This rizq, which is halal. So an imam who does this for a living, there's no dislikeness in his wages of taking money for the slaughtering, as well as him becoming an imam. For you to look down upon him in any way or form, this is not allowed. Okay, at the time of slaughter, so your qurbani animal is completely fine. You bought it, you saw that the ears is completely fine, the head is completely fine, the horns are completely fine, the legs are completely fine, the tail is completely fine, everything is perfect, alhamdulillah. Now, at the time of slaughter, when you're putting it down, maybe one of the legs broke. One of the legs broke, one of the feet broke, whatever happened, yeah? At that time, if anything goes wrong, the qurbani will still be slaughtered and the qurbani will still be valid, okay? This is at the time of slaughter, not before slaughter, at the time of slaughter, okay? The animal still becomes completely permissible for you to slaughter as a qurbani animal. This is not considered a fault. For example, he got poked inside the eye, the eye went. Now, in that case, still allowed. Leg broke, eye went, stuff like that. It became damaged. There's no problem. Okay, here he mentions another mas'ala. Here he mentions, for example, 6 people gave a cow. After the qurbani was done, you can't alter the shares. 6 people, they must get equal shares, isn't it? After the qurbani is done, another person comes and says, "Oh, I can take part in this as well. No, I should take part in this and include me with them." Not allowed. This is not allowed. If this animal was slaughtered for only 6 people, 6 shares was given for this huge animal, all 6 equal shares was given. It will only suffice for only those 6 people that were slaughtered for that animal. Not that one other person that came afterwards, his part will have to be given separately. Okay, his one will not be valid. Conditions for slaughter, we spoke about this. He has to be a Muslim. He has to take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the time of slaughtering. Be out of the 4 windpipe, food pipe, and the veins, the 2 jugular veins. Be out of the 4 have to be slaughtered. If 2 is slaughtered, it's not allowed. 4 has to be slaughtered, which is generally the case. It has to be done with a sharp object. We spoke about this. Has to be slaughtered by the throat. It can't just be shot. It's shot dead, then it's dead. It's considered as maita. It's considered as carrion, dead. The dead animal. You can't slaughter it. It's not valid as qurbani. It is necessary to say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar at the time of slaughtering. We said this, inshallah. Intention is in the heart, and making qurbani is sufficient. Yes. Okay, here he mentions it is mustahab to lay the animal down on the right hand side, as we said, right hand side of the animal and facing the qibla. Facing the qibla we spoke about, placing a foot upon it and slaughter it. And placing the animal is just like the mayyit, just like the deceased person, similar to. His right side will be towards this way. Okay. This way. Yes, that's it. Okay, if at the time of slaughtering, if at the time of slaughtering, if the intention of qurbani is not there at the time, completely fine, because automatically a person already knows that he's given it for qurbani. You understand? Even at the time of qurbani, if the intention is not there, is fine, because he already made the intention, he already gave the money. Okay, he already booked it, he already reserved it. Causing pain while slaughtering, we spoke about this. It has to be the knife has to be sharp, it has to be done quickly, and the rest of the things. The stroke must not be done more than necessary, because it's going to give unnecessary pain to the animal. And we said you slaughter until the bone, not including the bone. Okay, you don't slaughter the bone, because otherwise the animal will go into a shock and will not release all the bad blood. The least amount of difficulty is best for the animal. Slaughtering at night. Yes, slaughtering at night. So the days and nights are exactly the same. The 10th, 11th, and 12th, whether you slaughter during the day, whether you're slaughtering during the night, is completely fine. The reason why people asked this mas'ala back in the days was because maybe they didn't have much electricity. If you didn't have much electricity, then you wouldn't be sure how much of the animal's throat was cut or not. You know, that in that case, then it was necessary for them to slaughter at the daytime. They didn't have light. But here, nowadays, alhamdulillah, there's light all over the whole world, majority of the world. Alhamdulillah, we have light. There's no doubt that any of the veins are not going to get cut. No, we know 100% sure that the veins have been definitely cut and slaughtered properly. So it is completely jaiz to slaughter at night as well, if it can't be slaughtered during the daytime. Okay, here a tumor. If an animal has a tumor, is it allowed to slaughter? Is it considered a deficiency? Is it considered a fault in the animal? According to ulama, it is not a fault. Not a fault. You can still slaughter the animal. That part will be, of course, taken away, cut away. Then the animal, the rest of the animal is completely fine. The rest of the animal is completely fine. After the slaughter, that part of the animal will be cut away anyway. You'll be able to see that part. Rope of the animal. Yes, the rope of the animal. It is mustahab to give the rope of the animal in charity. The rope that was used to put the animal down, that rope you can give to charity. You can use yourself, wash it and use yourself. That rope you can give to the poor, whichever way. Okay, you can't sell it. If you sell it, because it's considered part of the qurbani. So if you sell it, then you have to give the money of that to the poor. The poor. Many people don't know this masala. Even in Bangladesh, many people don't know this masala. So, if he wants to use it, he can use it. If he wants to gift it, he can gift it to someone. That's completely fine. Okay, sending money and doing qurbani abroad. This is also completely permitted and allowed. There's no karaha in this. There is no dislikeness in this. But one needs to be absolutely sure that the qurbani days are saved. Like, for example, our qurbani day is 1 day earlier than Pakistan and India and Bangladesh. Yes? Majority of us are from Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. Therefore, the people that are acting upon the hadith of not trimming the what's called hair and nails, it's mustahab to not cut during these days, whoever's performing qurbani, and it is necessary, wajib upon those who are in ihram, in hajj, doing hajj right now. Allah accept all of their hajj. Ameen. But it is only mustahab for us. You know, but we do it out of hadith, out of love of Rasulullah. So we do it. Now, which day should we cut our nails in? Do it the next day after. The next day after Eid. Why? Because if you're giving your qurbani in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, okay? Because your qurbani will be done only on the next day. Their first Eid is the next day of our Eid, okay? So therefore, you must be careful on which day your qurbani is slaughtered, okay? Your qurbani is slaughtered. It doesn't mean that your Eid Salah is not valid here. It doesn't mean that your Eid Salah here is not valid. Your Eid Salah here is valid. But their Eid hasn't come yet, hasn't come off yet. No? Only after the night finishes and the day begins after Ishraq, then only their time for Eids, after they eat Salah, then they will slaughter the animal, and then you'll find confirmation to cut your hair and nails, no problem. Or eat. That's fine, that's fine. It's mustahab. If a person wants to do it, he can do it. If a person doesn't want to do it, he can do it before.
Bro, then you have to wait for that time.
Yes. If you want to act upon that hadith, then you do it. Yes, yes, yes. Of course. Then you wait, inshallah. Of course, this Qurbani is 3 days. So we have 3 days. So for example, our 10th, 11th, and 12th will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Their 10th, 11th, and 12th is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay? So it can be given in any of the 3 days. It can be given on any of the 3 days. Our Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and their Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Any of those 3 days. It doesn't need to be on the first day. It doesn't need to be on the first day. This is why we'll, let me just say this now because it's on my mind. If a person passes away before being able to give Qurbani on the 10th, 11th, or the before, so let's say he passes away on the 11th and he didn't give Qurbani, his Qurbani falls off because why? The time hasn't expired. So for example, if a person, now it's Maghrib time, yeah? Maghrib time has already come in. A person dies, will he be accountable for this Maghrib Salah? A person dies right now. Will he be accountable for Maghrib Salah? He won't be accountable because the time hasn't finished. Yes. Same thing with Qurbani. Same thing with Qurbani. Because the time hasn't finished, the person's Qurbani has become waived. Comes waived, meaning he doesn't need to do it. But if he does do it, I mean, if he's already booked it, and his animal's already been purchased, and his animal's going to be slaughtered, fine, then it's fine. It can be slaughtered as long as the heirs give the permission. Or he bequested, for example. If he bequested, then it becomes wajib upon the heirs give from. In that case. Okay, another mas'ala here. A sinful person. Yeah, let's call it a sinful person. It's not easy to say this on the mimbar. A man, his wife is immoral. Yeah, indecent person, indecent wife. Is his slaughter allowed? Because the man is the Amir of the house. Remember, the man, according to the Sharia, is the Amir, is the leader of the house. So therefore, if he's living with a woman who is immoral, who is indecent, who is loose, let's just talk about these words here. Everyone understands the meaning of that. Is his slaughter of those animals, or if he's doing Qurbani animals and he's the slaughterer, is his slaughter allowed? His slaughter is permitted, although he's sinful. Okay, although he's sinful for living with that woman, because ideal situation he should divorce that woman and he should leave that woman. If he knows for sure that this woman is a bad woman, then he has to leave that woman, because the youth cannot enter paradise according to the hadith. The youth, a man who lets his wife walk beauty all over the world, he shouldn't live with that woman. Okay, he shouldn't live with an indecent woman. So, and it comes that the youth will not enter paradise. The youth will not enter Jannah. La yadkhulul jannata, the youth will. So this is in Targhib al-Tarhib and many other books of hadith. The youth is a term. The term used for a man that lets his wife loose. Okay? The youth. This is another fitna that's coming in this world. Unfortunately, you have to be very careful to give your mothers and sisters and daughters on social media and to flaunt their beauty. It is not allowed, and it must be avoided at all costs. They might think it's a joke, but this joke comes really bad afterwards. Okay, this affects them in their life, whether it's through jinns, whether it's through evil eye. So many problems. Even the best of couples is breaking up. This is very clear proof for yourself and myself that we must preserve our women folk. Right? The more hijab that she has, the better that we have, and the better possibility that we have, we can preserve our deen. Okay. Many of our ulama are completely against. Even as a dars, women are not allowed to be in front of a man. So a young speaker, women that are young, completely, absolutely haram, absolutely not allowed. Nowadays, we find this a common practice amongst YouTubers. No? Unfortunately, they're famous. They've become seriously famous, and people are watching them, and they think this is allowed. Sheikh's doing it. Sheikh Hamza Yusuf's doing it, Sheikh this is doing it, Sheikh that is doing it. So what? Sheikh's doing it. That doesn't mean it's allowed. Haram is haram. Haram stays haram. You can't come and change the deen just because you're Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. No, just because you're Shady, Sheikh Shady, or whoever you are. You can't come and change the religion. No? You lecturing in front of young women that are full of caked up makeup on their faces, completely haram. No? This is completely haram, absolutely haram. It's totally against the hijab model of our deen. Anyway, let's carry on, inshallah. Tongue. If the tongue of the animal is cut off to such an extent where the animal can't graze, can't eat, then in that case, that animal is invalid for qurbani. This is considered as a deficiency and a fault of the animal. So therefore, that type of animal which can't graze by itself because of the tongue being cut off, that animal cannot be given as qurbani. If it can graze, even though the tongue is not there or the tongue is cut off partially, if it can graze, then it's fine. It can be given as qurbani. It is valid for qurbani. If an animal was wounded by hitting it, it happens very common, unfortunately, in these Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, third world countries, and many other countries, African countries as well. Now, if the animal is wounded, although it is a deficiency according to what we see apparently, but it still will be allowed if given for qurbani. Still will be allowed if given for qurbani. Ideally, of course, you shouldn't. Ideally, you should give the animal that's completely free of all types of any deficiencies. Okay, that's the best type of animal that you should give. Only time is at the time of slaughtering, the animal got damaged, then that animal to be slaughtered as qurbani is fine. It happened before, even after the purchase of the animal, you have to give another animal. Yes. Any Muslim can slaughter the animal. Any Muslim, as long as you are giving that responsibility. No, that's not a condition. Any Muslim can slaughter. I told you, even a sinful Muslim who's considered sinful, he doesn't pray, he doesn't fast, he drinks alcohol, he does haram things, as long as he's a Muslim and he says Bismillahi Allahu Akbar at the time of slaughter, it's halal, completely halal, because he's not kafir. You understand? Only in the case where he's a kafir, he's a non-Muslim. In that case, will not be allowed. It's not that he doesn't believe alcohol to be haram. He knows alcohol is haram, but he's still doing the sin. He's like a person who's not coming for salah, not performing his fard salat. Is he a kafir? He's not a kafir according to us. He's not a kafir. He's still a Muslim. He still believes in kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. He still believes in that. Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi. He believes in all of that. But he knows it's a deficiency from his side. It's a weakness from his side that maybe he doesn't have that same bond that we have with Allah. And yes, you can have the whole qurbani for yourself. There's no problem with that. We spoke about this. If you have a big family, you can keep the whole meat for yourself. You don't need to distribute. You don't need to distribute. To distribute it, you get rewards. You got thawab. But if you want to keep it for yourself, you want to stock up because of inflation, it's completely jaiz. It's completely allowed. There's nothing wrong with that. You can keep it's reward upon reward. Why? Because you're eating your own meat. One of the Rasulullah ate from the own meat, his own qurbani meat. This is one of the sunnah. You should eat from your own meat. You should eat from your own meat. Yeah, nowadays, because now there's issues going on in different countries like Sudan and Palestine. If you can give there, then alhamdulillah, give it as a nafal one maybe. Give it as a nafal one, extra reward. You get extra rewards. But you must be careful. Because this stuff is very dangerous right now. What's going on with these charity organizations? You must be extremely careful, please. But don't give it to anyone that just claims to be, just because sometimes they do it with the appearances of different scholars. And I've seen this online on Facebook and Instagram and all the other ones, on YouTube as well. The charity gets a scholar to do like a video, and then they promote through him. They promote their qurbani sponsoring and qurbani funding and everything. But the thing is, sometimes you think like £19 a share. Where in the world do you find Bangladesh? I'm telling you, there's no animal in Bangladesh that you can find £19. No way. No way in the world. In Africa, I don't know. Allahu Alam. I don't think so. At the moment, right now, impossible. How are you giving £19 a share, £20 a share, £24 a share? Impossible. Use some brains. Use some brains. Your qurbani will not be valid. Your qurbani will not be valid. Definitely not be valid. And especially if there's people that are in between that are eating your money as well on top of that. So please be very careful with your qurbani. This is why I'm doing these lessons. Okay? For your qurbani to be completely allowed and for you to be extra cautious when giving qurbani. Because qurbani is an act of ibadah, it's farb, it's wajib. Wajib. It's not sunnah. Sunnah, okay, maybe you can overlook sometimes because of certain reasons, yeah? But wajib you can't overlook. Wajib has to be perfect. No? It's like zakat. You have to be extra careful to whom you're giving your zakat, because these Muslim aid and helping hands and all these other ones, they're taking part of your zakat money. How is your zakat being fulfilled? Penny appeal and all of these ones, they're taking part of your, they're even mentioning you that 13% or whatever percent is going towards their, what you call, fees. So how is your zakat being fulfilled? Your zakat is not being fulfilled. Your complete zakat is not being fulfilled. Then you have to give that extra 13%. Unless you're giving to, for example, what's the other one? Ummah Welfare Trust, yes. Ummah Welfare Trust, they give 100% zakat policy. So then maybe you can trust, Allahu Alam, yeah? But best is for you, yourself, to go and give it to them. Okay? Best is for you to go and give. You can give money, you can give other things. You don't need to give money. You can give items, buy items, and of the value of that zakat, you can give it to that person, to those poor people. You can make a house for a person. You know, if you got £2,000 zakat, which is not much, you only have what, £80,000 in your account. Nowadays, £80,000 is nothing. You know? If you got £80,000 in your account and your zakat is £2,000, go and make a person a house in Bangladesh. Why not? Why not? No. If you know they're suffering and they're a very poor family and they can't survive, why not? You're gonna get rewarded for the rest of for as many years as that thing is on top of the person. That shelter is on top of that person. Anyway, back to our class, inshallah. A live calf comes out. Yes. At the time of slaughtering, this is makruh. You know, if an animal is pregnant and it is just about to give birth, it is makruh to slaughter that animal. Why? Because it's, you know, at the time of birth. But if you do slaughter it and the animal the child comes out of that animal, whether it's a calf, whether it's a lamb, whatever comes out, it has to be slaughtered in order for its meat to be allowed to eat. Okay? Both of them have to be slaughtered, yes. In order for both of them to be allowed. So if you slaughter the mother, but you and the baby you didn't slaughter, then in that case, the baby's meat will become haram for you to consume. You can't eat the baby's meat. Okay? Only the mother of the animal will be allowed. Okay? If, for example, you left the calf, you left the baby, yeah, to grow, and the 3 days of qurbani is gone now, then you can give that calf to sadaqah. And give that calf to sadaqah, to the poor. Give it as the poor. If you didn't give it to the poor, and you kept it, next year, if a person were to give qurbani of this calf now, that qurbani will not be valid. Why? Because it's considered part of the mother. Yes. Yes, this is the problem. So, this person who's giving qurbani the next year, this calf will, well, calf you can't give anyway. Because calf is, yeah, it has to be minimum 2 years old. Yeah. But in the case where a sheep is mentioned, this lamb is not allowed. Even though it's 1 year old, it's not allowed to give as qurbani. You can give it as anything else. You can give it as akika, you can give it as normal meat. You know, you can slaughter it, but not for qurbani, not for wajib. Your wajib will not be fulfilled with this type of animal. Okay, it's very important. Another animal has to be given in place if a person did slaughter this type of an animal, calf type of an animal, this sheep that gave birth, and that lamb wasn't slaughtered next year, and that somebody slaughtered that one unknowingly, then that person has to give another qurbani. Then we go on to, yes, yeah, do not cut off any limb of the animal. So what happens is, not allowed to cut off any of the limb of an animal. Only after it's slaughtered and it's cooled down, then only you can take off this, and you can cut the animal and you can do the rest. But if a portion of the animal is cut off in some way or another, like for example, a camel hump or something was cut off before slaughter, yeah? Say, for example, that part of the camel hump will not be allowed to eat because that's haram now. Slaughter, you cut that piece off before the slaughter occurred. Okay? Only that which is slaughtered will become halal. That which is not slaughtered cannot be halal, even from a halal animal. Slaughtering after zawal, we mentioned this. If on the day of Eid, for whichever reason, they couldn't pray the Eid Salah. Now, back in the days, it was different. It wasn't like this inside the masjid. Not supposed to pray inside the masjid. Unfortunately, because of our situation, we pray inside the masjid. But Eid Salah is supposed to be prayed in the field. Now, Eid Salah was one Jamaat only. It wasn't 10, 50, 5 Jamaats here, like Baitul Aman and East London Mosque and every other mosque. So, in this case, where the Eid Salah could not be performed between after Ishraq until Zawal, it has to be performed maybe the next day, the Qurbani will still be valid. The Qurbani will still be valid if done after Zawal. After Zawal, meaning Zuhr time. After Zuhr time comes in, the Qurbani will still be valid, even if for whatever reasons Eid Salah could not be done on that day. Of course, this won't apply to us now. Nowadays, this is a different thing. Yes, separating the head, I said. So meaning cutting the head completely is not allowed. Is not allowed. This is makruh. Okay? It's not that the animal will become haram. Animal will still become halal. But I told you, because of the shock, it goes into the bad blood the poisonous blood doesn't come out. Then we go on to, yes, this is the big problem. Nowadays, this is the big problem. If, for example, one of the shareholders has haram income, every single person that's doing the Qurbani of that animal, all the Qurbani is invalid. All the Qurbani is invalid. This is extremely important nowadays. So you'd rather do a goat or a sheep rather than going into a cow. Okay, for Qurbani. Why? Because of this reason. Nowadays, you don't know whose income is like what. No? Unless the person who has haram income, he's got two different incomes. He's got one income which is haram and one income which is halal. And he gives the money from the halal one or specifically for the Qurbani. Then it's fine. Then it's still fine. But he shouldn't be earning haram in the first place. Shouldn't be earning haram in the first place. But the point is here, according to all the ulama, his Qurbani, just because of that one person's Qurbani being invalid, he invalidates all the other six. All the other six becomes invalid. So all the other shareholders will become invalid. Here the author mentions, like our tradition, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, our tradition is to have Shemai. Shemai. Is it allowed to have on Eid? It's allowed to have on Eid, as long as nobody makes it compulsory. As long as nobody says it's sunnah to have Shemai on Eid day. Anyway, Qurbani with animal horns now. The Qurbani of such an animal that was born without horns or broken horns is valid. If the horn broke from the root of the head, then it is not valid. Okay? The horn, part of the horn is broken, then it is okay. But if it's from the root and it's affecting the meat and the brain, then in that case, that animal is not fit for Qurbani. Inshallah, we'll stop here. We'll finish here, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا